Just 50 minutes into last night's disastrous BBC leadership debate where law and order, immigration, the Channel crisis, grooming gangs, the rights of women, the future of the licence fee, and even the NHS were virtually ignored. Just 50 minutes in, a spokesman for Liz Truss issued this comment to the political editor of the Times newspaper. Rishi Sunak has tonight proven he is not fit for office. His aggressive mansplaining and shouty private school behaviour is desperate, unbecoming, and is a gift to Labour. Now, usually I'd think such spin was hyperbole. But I went back after the show last night and watched the entire unedifying spectacle. Sunak was arrogant, smug and rude. He showed his true colours, like a spoilt rich kid. He knew that by shouting and hollering over his opponent and the moderator, he would get his way. This is not a man I want in charge of the country. Now, if you think I'm exaggerating, well, have a look at this.
Not putting it on the Never Never. I would start paying it down in 3 years.
That's simply not right. You promised almost 40...
Under my plans, we will...
Well, let's just take on this, right? So we remember the 80s and the 90s. So just think what that means for all of your mortgages. Everyone watching. Right,
can you let me respond?
That would be thousands of pounds.
At a time when there is a global economic crisis, to the same level as France's corporation tax.
Economic advisor. Let's just
negative, declinist language.
It's your own
that we're
economic
hearing.
advisor, Liz. It's not mine.
If we follow Rishi's plans, we are headed for a recession.
Can we really get an answer to this question?
Your own.
So, Liz, this is the problem with your plan. It's going to push people into
please let Liz Truss answer. Please let her.
When inflation gets out of control, interest rates go up.
Rishi Sunak, please let Liz Truss answer.
And that hard-working taxpayers who do the right thing have seen their taxes rise, despite the fact that we promised in our manifesto not to do it.
Hang on, Faisal.
I think that is what is wrong.
You know what? You were right then. And you're wrong now. It's the right Conservative project for how to manage the economy.
I did say that, and under my plan,
that's their answer.
Under my plan, Sophie, we want to get those EU regulations off the statute books. That's something that the Treasury has resisted.
You know what, Liz? You talk about bean counting. You talk about bean counting.
We haven't done the things like Solvency II, MiFID, that would have unlocked investment into our country.
Can I just ask, does anyone put their hands up? Does anyone know what Solvency II means?
I want to turbocharge that.
Whoa. So while Sunak became increasingly desperate with that sort of schoolboy behaviour, there were two moments where Truss absolutely owned him. Here's the first.
As recently as a month ago, you were pushing for closer trade relationships with China. This is not something you've advocated in government. I'm delighted that you've come round to my way of thinking. But it's been driven by the Foreign Office, the toughest stance we've taken on China. Whether it's creating
Do you notice there? Not one interruption. I guess he knew he'd just been exposed. Then it came to the all-important matter of the economy and tax cuts. It was this comparison to a former Labour Prime Minister that I think was another standout moment for Truss.
Because I'm prepared to take on the orthodoxy. The reality here is this is the same line that we heard from Gordon Brown when he was in the Treasury, the same line being repeated now.
Now, look, as Westminster establishment outlet Politico's Andrew MacDonald wrote this morning, critics who wrote off the Foreign Secretary as wooden and error-prone early in the contest have been forced to eat their words. And while the Truss-hating sections of the MSM don't want to accept that the debate was a slam dunk for the Foreign Secretary, Truss not only clearly won among Tory members, she bettered Sunak on every single issue, from Ukraine to the cost of living to Boris Johnson to tax to Brexit. But the biggest loser last night, the biggest loser by far, was the BBC, which devoted precious minutes to rows over clothing rather than the important issues facing this country. As my colleague, the GBNews presenter Alistair Stewart, who actually hosted the first ever general election leaders debate for ITV in 2010, as he wrote in a column for Spiked Online tonight, the low point was the nonsense about sartorial matters. Far too much time was wasted on questions about everything from Rishi's fine suits and loafers to Liz's earrings. The segment was prompted by remarks from Boris Johnson loyalist Nadine Dorries, whose sniping from the sidelines had become something of a thing on social media earlier that day. But the BBC should have risen above it, not capitalised on it. Last night's debate was a golden opportunity for the national broadcaster to repair its damaged reputation for authority and impartiality. It gave it the chance, having seen Channel 4 and ITV's efforts, to give a kind of this is how you do it lesson. Instead, the debate was given an ill-conceived format, and at times the BBC even appeared to demonstrate a preference for Sunak. Alistair Stewart is right. Of course the BBC, just like the rest of the establishment and the MSM, are in the tank for Sunak, which is even more reason to trust Truss.